My fellow Americans, Trump has just laid out a plan for the educational system in our country. The abysmal, absolutely corrupt indoctrination camps is what I like to identify them as because that's exactly what they are. And I am not just speaking from pure research or hearsay or secondhand. I am speaking from firsthand experience. I don't just call myself professor for kicks and giggles. I am telling you right now, as somebody who worked and taught at these universities, some of the most prestigious in the world over the last 20 years, I can tell you firsthand, they are not teaching your kids of any value. They are not teaching your kids the Constitution. They are not teaching your kids to love America. They are not teaching facts. They are not teaching the history of what really happened in the United States. They are literally Marxist, woke, Leninist, ideological traps for our kids. And Trump just laid out a plan that gives me absolute chills. So I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But first, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. named the new National Director of Health and Human Services, nominated by Trump. One of the staunch detractors of this selection was Elizabeth, hypocrite herself, Elizabeth Warren. I did a little digging. She thinks this is an abominable choice. She thinks this is the worst thing that could ever happen. It's going to cost millions of American lives and just essentially destroy our healthcare system. I did a little digging on Elizabeth Warren, and she is one of the ultimate hypocrites. She is kind of like that Karen that everybody hopes to avoid in their neighborhood. You know, she kind of tattles on you if your lawn is not exactly pedicured to the exact specifications of the HOA, or maybe you've had your Thanksgiving sign up a little bit too long, or your Halloween sign, or whatever, maybe Christmas decorations, just a week or two, maybe even a couple of days too long. She's the one that will come knock on your door, write a letter to the HOA, and let you know exactly what she thinks. And it is just one of those people you just wish never lived in your neighborhood. This is the kind of person that we wish never landed in our government. Watch what I just dug up. Take a look at this, my fellow Americans. This is the Open Secrets top 20 member recipients of money from pharmaceuticals and health products 2019 to 2020. God knows what the updated information is. But if you see right below Bernie Sanders and look at Mark Kelly, number 3, there you see Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren, 821, almost $1 million, ladies and gentlemen. Aha! Now it makes a ton of sense. Now we understand why you're so vehemently opposed to RFK Jr. I've said this in many other videos. He's going to upset the establishment. That's what Trump promised. Promises made, promises kept. There's going to be a lot of people afraid of what RFK Jr. brings to the table. I've said it before, never mind, maybe his lack thereof of, managerial experience, as one, corrupt CNN pundit put it. I trust my intuition. I think he actually cares. The fact that his wife doesn't like Trump and he still endorsed Trump means he's a man that sticks to his values and principles. His whole family has disowned him. We all know. I did a video on the Kennedys endorsing Kamala Harris. And he said quite profoundly that the Democratic Party is no longer the party of my uncle, JFK, the icon of the Democratic Party before Obama, and his dad, Robert F. Kennedy Sr. Doesn't this make a lot of sense? Notwithstanding all of that, notwithstanding everything I think about him, everything that he's fought and advocated for, this testimony right here, I think, is the main reason why I support Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I have kids. I am not only thinking of them, I'm thinking of my grandkids one day, my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandkids one day, and I think you are too. And what's happening in our food, Mayor Eric Adams said this from New York City the other day on The View, as he confronted the gaggle of hyenas on The View and said, look, I've suffered from many ailments and it had nothing to do with, anything other than my dinner. And so this testimony right here from Vani Hari is really, really powerful. This is one of the main reasons I support Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and probably why all the pharma companies are so opposed to it. Check this out.
McDonald's French fries. I would like to argue that probably nobody in this room has not had a McDonald's French fries, by the way. Nobody raised their hand during the staff meeting earlier today. In the US, there's 11 ingredients. In the UK, there's 3, and salt is optional. An ingredient called dimethylpolysiloxane is an ingredient preserved with formaldehyde, a neurotoxin, in the US version. This is used as a foaming agent so they don't have to replace the oil that often, making McDonald's more money here in the United States. But they don't do that across the pond. This is Skittles. Notice the long list of ingredient differences. 10 artificial dyes in the US version and titanium dioxide. This ingredient is banned in Europe because it can cause DNA damage. Artificial dyes are made from petroleum, and products containing these dyes require a warning label in Europe that states it may cause adverse effects on activity and detention in children. And they have been linked to cancer and disruptions in the immune system. This on the screen back here is Gatorade. In the US, they use red 40 and caramel color. In Germany, they don't. They use carrot and sweet potatoes to color their Gatorade. This is Doritos. The US version has 3 different artificial dyes and MSG. The UK version does not. General Mills is definitely playing some tricks on us. They launched a new version of Trix just recently in Australia. It has no dyes. They even advertise that, when the US version still does.
That is extremely important to me. These companies are pretty much allowed free rein to capitalize on the health of not only all of us, but our children as well, in the most nefarious and greedy ways. And if they get away with all those things in just kids' cereal, can you imagine what they get away with in all of the millions of medications, antibiotics, treatments, FDA-approved methodologies and applications, etc., etc. The whole entire healthcare system, all you have to do is just look at the data, is in absolute disarray. We are more sick now than we ever have. As a first world supernation, this is absolutely unacceptable. We have worse obesity, diabetes, and health rates here than most third world countries. Why is that? How is that even possible? I think RFK Jr. coming in now is bigger than we ever fully realize. And I think this is going to have a huge impact, as it should, and disrupt this corrupt healthcare system. I don't even want to get into what happened in 2020 because I'll probably get deplatformed, but you know what I'm talking about. That included Fauci, the whole lot of them. This is probably the most important appointment, I think, that Donald Trump has made. But I would love to get your thoughts on this. Let me know in the comments. Now, listen to this, my fellow Americans. I know most of you have not seen this, but listen to Donald Trump unleash his secret weapon against these indoctrination camps. Check this out. This is phenomenal.
Tuition costs at colleges and universities have been exploding, and I mean absolutely exploding, while academics have been obsessed with indoctrinating America's youth. The time has come to reclaim our once great educational institutions from the radical left, and we will do that. Our secret weapon will be the college accreditation system. It's called accreditation for a reason. The accreditors are supposed to ensure that schools are not ripping off students and taxpayers, but they have failed totally. When I return to the White House, I will fire the radical left accreditors that have allowed our colleges to become dominated by Marxist maniacs and lunatics. We will then accept applications for new accreditors who will impose real standards on colleges once again and once and for all. These standards will include defending the American tradition and Western civilization, protecting free speech, eliminating wasteful administrative positions that drive up costs incredibly, removing all Marxist diversity, equity, and inclusion bureaucrats, offering options for accelerated and low-cost degrees, providing meaningful job placement and career services, and implementing college entrance and exit exams to prove that students are actually learning and getting their money's worth. Furthermore, I will direct the Department of Justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination and schools that persist in explicit, unlawful discrimination under the guise of equity will not only have their endowments taxed, but through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country so badly. Colleges have gotten hundreds of billions of dollars from hardworking taxpayers, and now we are going to get this anti-American insanity out of our institutions once and for all. We are going to have real education in America. Thank you.
When I was working at the university, I can't tell you how many emails, how many times the deans and chairs, administrators, every time they saw you, we would be bombarded every single day by DEI programs, DEI initiatives, DEI rallies, DEI trainings, DEI support group. I mean, it was a relentless bombardment of this. And when Donald Trump says, he's going to make sure that these universities are held up to a different standard and abolish these racist programs. He calls them discriminatory programs. That's exactly what they are, my fellow Americans. I've called DEI the most cancerous poison, the most infectious infection to ever afflict our glorious republic, because it's founded on this principle that is anti-meritocracy. It is a rebuke to everything America stands for. It's a rebuke to all the great civil rights leaders. It's a rebuke to what Martin Luther King wanted. He said, I have a dream that one day my children will be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. DEI is literally the exact 180 polar antithesis to that beautiful dictum and speech by Martin Luther King Jr. Because what it essentially is saying is that we need to accept somebody based on traits they have zero control over, like gender, the color of your skin, a skin pigmentation being a form of criteria, sexual orientation, ethnicity, race. These are all things we have zero control over. What we do have control over is how hard we work. That's the content of our character. Working on ourselves, working on critical thinking, working on being a better human being, working on being more adept, more skilled, more qualified, crafting, honing our craftsmanship in our specific field that we're interested in. That is what the American ideal is. And if you do that and you work your butt off, blood, sweat, and tears, this beautiful flag behind me is beckoning to you. This beautiful flag behind me is an emblem to you. It is a beautiful sovereignty call to you saying, hey, we accept you because we don't care what you look like. We don't care what your sex is. We don't care what your race is. He's also talked about abolishing the Department of Education, which he absolutely should. As a professor reacting to this, you have no idea the amount of unabashed, one-sided biases that pervade university campus grounds, not just at the private level, but even at the public state level, even at the community college level. He is not exaggerating. There's no hyperbole when Trump says they are indoctrination camps. I am speaking again from firsthand experience. They are indoctrination camps 100%. For the first time, I never thought in a million years I would ever utter these words. But for the first time in my life, I'm thinking I don't really want my kids going to these institutions. I may now if Trump fixes them. But if you don't believe me, here's just a small snippet. Listen to what this professor said in Kansas just a few weeks ahead of November 5th, the election. Check this out.
Guys are smarter than girls. You got some serious problems. That's what frustrates me. There are going to be some males in our society that will refuse to vote for a potential female president because they don't think females are smart enough to be president. We could line all those guys up and shoot them. They clearly don't understand the way the world works. Did I say that? Scratch that from the recording. I don't want the deans hearing that I said that.
Whoops. And if you think that's an anomaly, you got another thing coming. That's the norm. That's the norm. That is the way of thinking. It is so undeniably anti-Christian, anti-Trump, elitist, condescending, narcissistic, self-absorbed. They look down from their nose at anybody. They call the kind of Bible Belt, the red state, the sort of red wall, if you will, Texas to Florida. They call them all hillbillies and morons. They think that half the country is beneath them, more than half the country, because Trump won the popular vote. They think I'm beneath them and I'm educated. I was one of them not that long ago. And so this is a very serious cancer, DEI, woke Marxist ideologies that absolutely have embedded themselves in our learning institutions, not just higher education, from the top to the bottom. And this is where it all starts. This is where the woke left will, dig in their claws and embed their ideologies. And once they get out into the workforce, then they turn into people like Kamala. They turn into people like AOC, where they're so anti-capitalist, they're so anti-American. They refuse to put their heart over their hand for their hand over their heart for the American national anthem. They take knees, they protest and support Hamas groups and terrorist groups without even knowing what they're protesting. I mean, they are literally, it's like a mass hypnosis camp, more than just indoctrination camp. So I have to share this video, and I want you guys to make this video go viral. Not for me, I could care less. Nobody knows what's going on. I speak from firsthand. Nobody knows what really is going on. I'm telling you, this is what's happening in our educational system from the top to the bottom, more specifically in higher education. Thank God Trump is going after them. Thank God we are getting rid, and woke is absolutely going to die. Thank God. Hopefully a slow, painful, agonizing death with the help of real leadership. But you need to tap the thumbs up. It takes you a nanosecond. Doesn't cost you a thing. You need to share this with everybody you know, because nobody knows the truth. This is the truth. What that Kansas professor said in class is just a snippet. It's a blip. It's a molecule in the total vast massive indoctrination that is taking place in our universities. I mean, there's tons of viral videos that confirm this, where students actually speak out and say, hey, why can't we learn about this? Why can't we learn about George Washington or learn about, different things? Why is everything got to be this woke ideology, indigenous, simply completely one-sided Marxist Leninist, essentially it's the Communist Manifesto at scale. That's what it is. I'm telling you, I was there. So this is vastly important, because this is the fertile ground, the breeding ground for these future AOCs and Kamalas and radical extreme leftists like Obama. And so I'm begging you to share this out, tap the thumbs up, and I can't wait to hear your comments. Let me know in the comments down below what you think, and check out these videos coming up on the screen right here. Tap my face right there if you haven't subscribed yet. It's free, or follow wherever you're watching us. And as always, may God bless you, and may God bless America. I'll see you soon.